Honoring the past and rebuilding the future. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
You guys have all been amazing so far. Thank you for having me. My name is Tiara Click, CEO and founder of When the Mind Clicks. I'm a mental health educator and a therapist by trade, and again, thank you all for having me here. Before we begin, I do want to take a moment to acknowledge the weight many of us are carrying due to the fires, the changes, the uncertainties. It's not just about what was lost or what changes are being made. It's about what we do now. It's about who we become in the face of adversity. Today, we're here to honor what we've endured and focus on what comes next. And today, I'd like to focus on 3 powers based in mental health and well-being to help us be stronger to rebuild a new future. Number 1, the power of grounding when managing emotional distress. Grounding is the ability to be present. It's ability to be present enough to be regulated enough to take on whatever in front of you with a clear mind. I always tell myself, Tiara, if your emotions are fairly grounded, then go ahead and problem solve. Go ahead and express yourself. Go ahead and take on whatever is in front of you. But if I know in my heart that my emotions have hijacked my mind, I'm going to refrain from problem solving. Because you're talking too loud and the solution to my problem is to slam the door in your face. I'm going to avoid expressing myself because one wrong sentence can end a 20-year relationship. I'm going to wait until I'm grounded before I engage in anything of substance. When we experience a state of emergency, whether personal or collective, our minds race. Anxiety, fear, anger, sadness, the what ifs, you name it. It's easy to lose our footing when that happens. That is why grounding is essential. It's how we regain stability so we can rebuild with strength. Let's try something together right now, okay? Take a deep breath in. Hold it. Now slowly exhale. Now take your sleeve or a piece of fabric of whatever part of your clothing you can access. Gently rub it. Feel it. Feel the texture. Feel the weight of it against your skin. What color is it? Where did you get it? Grounding is the ability to come back to the present, no matter the chaos around us. This moment, this is yours. When emotions are high, we must ground ourselves and recognize, are we thinking or are we feeling? As we support one another after a life-altering, perspective-shifting, high-intensity event, it's important to remember, when it comes to showing up for the people around us, if someone's in distress, we don't want to show up with the thinking mind and the judgment. We want to be present. We want to use active listening. We want to be empathetic. However, if someone is looking to take action, though feeling is important, that's when you want a clear mind. That's when you want a focused mind. That's when we step into solutions, logic, and innovation. The power of grounding will help us to be present enough to recognize our audience. The power of grounding will help us to read the room and show up for each other accordingly. Grounding allows you to increase the likelihood of getting your needs met. Grounding increases the likelihood of you being able to show up for someone else appropriately. Grounding is the key to discernment, and it's also the key to managing emotions. Number 2, the power of hope, reframing the narrative. For me, I love studying positive psychology. In my experience though, I have run into a client who asked me, "Aren't you afraid of spreading toxic positivity?" And at first I didn't understand, but they were in such a devastating place that any form of positivity felt like a Band-Aid over a fatal wound. I questioned my studies for a bit, but then I realized my enjoyment for positive psychology, it doesn't stem from placing sunshines and rainbows over a bleak situation. It's rooted in my ability to perceive life as having potential and various outcomes. And various includes better. Which is why I remind people to have hope. And when they say it feels so far away, I remind them that it's not as grand as you might think. Hope is not some passive, naive optimism that you really have to, be born with. Hope is a deliberate choice and the ability to perceive a better future. Hope is the decision to say, I will keep going. Hope is the goal to ask, what do we do next? Hope is the understanding that there is a possibility that things could eventually work in your favor.
Amen.
But hope is not always magic. Sometimes hope needs to be built. Sometimes hope requires action. And just like faith in James 2:26, sometimes hope requires works. The truth is, disasters test us, but they also teach us. They reveal our resilience. They remind us that no matter how dark the night, the sun always rises. With that, I would like to share a resource with you all called The Pour Over. This is a news source that I personally signed up for. It's a mindful, fact-based, faith-based information news source. And The Pour Over teaches us something valuable, that we must consume information as informative and motivation, awareness, not as fuel for our rage or fuel for our sorrow. The idea is to maintain hope, not snuff it out. Let's ask ourselves, how can I take what I know and use it to make a difference? This is how we transform pain into purpose. This is how hope works. And number 3, the third and the last power I'd like to share is the power of community, a catalyst for rebuilding. In my decade of working in the mental and behavioral health field, I started to realize something. The individuals who had even decent relationships with their family and friends or were involved in some sort of community, they actually, I noticed, would recover a lot quicker, and they needed a few less coping skills. However, the individuals who were estranged from their friends or their families, the individuals who had no system of support or weren't involved in any community resources, they did take a little longer to recover, and they did require a few more mental health toolkit options. I just wanted to share this because community is important. Now more than ever, we must recognize that the power of community is an asset. Healing does not happen in isolation. It happens together. Studies even show that social support is the #1 predictor of resilience after trauma. This means that our progress as individuals fuels the strength of the collective, and vice versa. Now I want you to turn to a neighbor and say hi. Hi. Community is not just about receiving support, but it's also about giving it. It's about showing up, not just when it's easy, but when it's hard. That's why in mental health, a key factor to healing is community engagement and relationship hygiene. And that's why for the next 3 weeks through my business, When the Mind Clicks, there will be a free virtual space, a community built just for healing, prayer, open discussion, and mental health tools and support. Because you don't have to navigate this alone. Because rebuilding isn't a me effort, it's a we effort. So I leave you with this. What will you build? Not just in the physical sense, Amen to everyone, our construction guy out there, construction brother, okay? Not just in the physical sense, but what will you build within yourself, within your community, within the legacy of how we respond to hardship? Honoring the past is important, but the real challenge, rebuilding the future. And that starts with the choices we make today and how we manage our mental state when we do. Please feel free to stop by my exhibitor's booth out in the exhibitors section, okay, when we're done here. I thank you all. I love you all. Happy Black History Month, and let's lift every voice and sing.
Woo!